All right, today we're going to talk about absolute value. So absolute value really is talking about distance, the distance you are from 0 or from another number on the number line. So for example, how we could read this, and a lot of times our brains don't really work this way initially, but you get used to it, is I'm looking for two numbers that are a distance of 3 from the number 2 on a number line. So for example, on a number line, here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have our negative sign, so -1, -2, -3. I am looking for two numbers that are a distance of 3 from the number 2 on the number line. So here's my number 2 on this number line, and if I go a distance of 3 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to land on +5. If I go 3 units to the left, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to land on -1. So my answer should be -1 and +5. So let's see how it works mathematically or algebraically. When I see absolute value, I want to isolate the absolute value bars or get them by themselves. So because there are no numbers on the outside of this absolute value or behind it before the equal sign, then that first part is done. But now I want to go ahead and get rid of the absolute value bars. So how do you undo or get rid of absolute value bars? You write two equations, one toward the +3 and one with the -3. So I'm going to copy this equation twice. So I'm going to say x minus 2 equals 3 without the absolute value bars, and I'm going to say that x minus 2 equals the opposite of +3, which would be -3. Then I'm going to solve each equation separately. So you're telling me you have to do this twice for every one problem? Yes, you have to solve two equations for every one problem. So hopefully your teacher won't give you a bunch of homework assignments because it will be doubled or feel like it's doubled. But the good news is you're going to do the same steps with each equation. So for example, if I draw my wall here and I draw my wall here, the opposite of subtracting 2 would be to add 2. So if I add 2 to both sides, notice that's going to be the same first step over here. X minus 2, the opposite of that is going to be to add 2. What's going to be different is the result that you get, but the steps you take should stay the same. So these will cancel out. I'm left with x equals 3 plus 2 is 5, which is one of the numbers we were hoping to get, knowing it was a distance of 3 from the number 2 on a number line. The other example, after those cancel out, we get x equals, now -3 plus 2 would be a -1. And again, the other answer we were hoping to get with our number line illustration. Now, if your brain doesn't work that way, that's okay. It doesn't need to. Let's take a look at number 2. So again, I want to isolate the absolute value. Well, these bars are not the only thing that's on this other side of the equal sign. So I have to take care of that first. So this +4, I need to move that because it's not inside the absolute value bars and it's not on the other side of the equal sign. I need to move that to the other side. How do I do that? I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. So that's gone. I'm going to have the absolute value of x minus 3 equals 0. Now, 4 minus 4 gives me 0. And again, 0 is a number, like I have 0 friends. Anyway, now if I were to rewrite this to get rid of the absolute value bars, the way I explained the first one is that you rewrite it just as is, set it equal to 0, and then you write it again and set it equal to the opposite of 0. Well, there's no such thing as a -0, so that doesn't make any sense. So this equation is not valid. So where our first equation, we're going to get two solutions, -1 and 5. Here, we're only going to have one solution because the way we would read this is I need two numbers that have a distance of 0 from 3. Well, if I'm at 3 and I go a distance of 0, meaning I go nowhere, that means I'm still at 3. So my answer doesn't change. Now let's see if that works. X minus 3. The opposite of subtracting 3 is to add 3. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I get that x equals a +3. So two solutions, one solution. I bet you can't guess what's coming next. Let's take a look at number 3. Here, these are problems that you are begging your teacher to put on a test. When I want to isolate my absolute value, meaning I have to get rid of this positive 3. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides. These cancel out. I have an absolute value of x plus 2 equals 1 minus 3 is a negative 2. Because absolute value is distance, you can't go a negative distance. Even if you put your car in reverse and went backwards, that doesn't mean you went a negative distance. That just means you went backwards 100 feet or however far you went. So negative distance isn't a thing. Distance, in terms of positive and negative, only tells you the direction. So because I can't go a negative distance, this problem has no solution. So after you isolate your absolute value, and you see that it's equal to a negative number, you can stop there and write no solution. Only after you get your absolute value bars isolated.